What were Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis pay-per-view numbers? That is the burning question. Let Leonard Ellerbe tell it. He's saying the fight did around 50,000. I'm going to get to a video from Bill Haney. He's refuting that. He's saying that it didn't do 50,000, and that's cap. At the end of this video, make sure you guys stick to the end of this video. I'm going to give some of my thoughts in the overall assessment of Devin Haney and Regis Prograis. What were the true numbers? Because Leonard Ellerbe is saying numbers will never lie. The numbers will always tell the true story. The business will always dictate the current market value. And he says the public decides who the star is. Tank is the star, period. The public decided their current commercial value, Devin Haney and Prograis, is 50,000 pay-per-view buys in the last fight. They had a good gate at 1.7 million. In what universe does someone think that they can call the shots? You can't fool the public. That was Mayweather Promotions CEO chiming in, saying Devin did 50,000 in the Prograis fight, but he did a very good live gate, meaning the amount that they got in venue. But as far as the buyers, he's saying it's 50,000. This is what Bill Haney had to say in response. Roll the clip.
Well, I'll be damned if the spook by the door, Leonard Ellerbe himself, wants to present some fake numbers to the people. Good brother, the fight and the engagement far exceeded 50,000, 10,000, anything that you can muster up in your fat head to come up with any lie about. Let me explain to you why. Take a look at the analytics, behind the scene, the engagement with the fight. Take a look at the stadium. Take a look at every aspect of the fight, and you'll see that it was a sellout. And only thing that I can see now is another sellout opportunity by the spook by the door to introduce some bogus numbers that cannot be found anywhere. So, Mr. Spook, while you found the numbers, let's not keep them a secret. Tell the people where you found them at. Because other than that, everybody had a wonderful time in the Bay Area. And guess what? The buildup was incredible. The numbers were reflected. But don't let the naysayers, the guys that are too scared to take the challenge for the crown, don't let them put you down. We had a great time. No longer will you down him, you must crown Devin. If only the guy that got them off their bunk ass game.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live boxing ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to your live. Now you just heard both sides. Leonard Ellerbe said his piece. Bill Haney, the father and trainer of Devin Haney, got him this far in the sport of boxing, along with Devin's talent. That was his response. He said the numbers were bogus. Now, I really don't even want to have this preamble, but I got new viewers, so I got to do what I got to do. This is my thing. I don't have a dog in the race. I don't have a horse in the race. I like Tank. I like Devin Haney. Was at Devin Haney's fight. I've covered Tank fights. I've interviewed both of them. This is about business. And it's funny, in the game of boxing, you have people who say, I'm objective, I'm fair, I'm unbiased. But then you listen to the commentary and it's slanted, it's one-sided. Me, I came in the game telling the truth, giving you my honest, uncut opinion, unadulterated opinion, keeping it real, giving you that raw, that cocaína, that puro, and that's what it's always going to be. But it's just funny to see a lot of people, they scream that, oh, I'm unbiased and You know, it's all about boxing, but at the end of the day, they're not objectively looking at things. So without further ado, let's talk about these numbers objectively, right? So in my video, I already made a video kind of talking about what Leonard Ellerbe said, saying the numbers are 50,000. There were some people in the comment section, they say, oh, Ego, where do you get those numbers from? How do you know? Where's the receipts? Where's the proof? Bill Haney said the same thing. But if we're objective and we're being fair, then I got a question. And that's what I'm gonna do throughout this video, is pose some questions that got your boy Ego a little bit confused. Now, me personally, I don't know what Devin Haney versus Regis Prograis numbers were. That wasn't even my angle. I went to the fight. I told you and showed you videos of the crowd. Everything, you know, looked good. People had a good time with the main event. Undercard was a bit lacking, but Devin Haney got off. He looked sharp. He looked good. So my angle, I didn't really care about the pay-per-view numbers. I didn't have to pay for this fight. I covered it as media, right? So I'm live in the venue. I enjoyed myself. It was in my backyard, Bay Area, and I was good with that. But now that this is coming up and you got different people saying different things, I gotta do what I always do and look at something like this, hear what different people are saying and look at it objectively. And that's what I'm always gonna do on my channel. So make sure you guys subscribe. So the first thing that I noticed is Bill Haney. He says Leonard Ellerbe is wrong. He says 50,000 is cap and is basically a bogus number, but he didn't actually give the real number. And neither has Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn hasn't come out. He's done all these interviews. He opened up a new gym in LA, partnership with a director named Peter Berg. Great movie he did called Lone Survivor with Mark Wahlberg. I just watched it recently. And Eddie Hearn hasn't said one thing about the actual numbers. So your boy Ego, I don't know. Like I said, I was at the fight. I enjoyed myself. Devin looked stellar. So I didn't really care about the numbers. But now this seems to be an ongoing topic and people are saying different things. Now we got to explore it and take it there. But here's the funny thing. When I made the video based on what Leonard Ellerbe said, he's saying the numbers underperformed basically, and they were 50,000. And then you have people copping attitudes. Oh, how do you know these are numbers? Show receipts. But the funny thing is this, if we're objective, there were people who stated that the numbers came out days after the fight and they reported the numbers at 200,000 or 220,000, 250. I heard as high as 350,000. So my thing is this, if you really aren't biased, what makes the 200,000 to 250 or 350,000 the numbers that I seen people actually putting out previously for Devin Haney and Regis Prograis? What makes those the correct numbers, especially considering Bill Haney didn't say the numbers on tape, even though he's refuting Leonard Ellerbe, nor did DAZN, nor did anybody. Like, I don't even know where the 200,000+ numbers came from, right? So it just goes to show you how people pick and choose. They're not really about it in boxing. They say they're fair and unbiased, but people really aren't. They're really not about that life because, again, some people are like, oh, what makes you think it's 50,000? I'm just going off of what was being reported. But now that we're talking about it, I wouldn't be surprised if the numbers were not huge numbers. And I'm gonna explain why. First, Regis Prograis was coming off a terrible performance versus the Zorilla dude. He got dropped in the fight. He didn't look good. So yes, he was a champion, but he was coming off a bad performance. Second, Regis Prograis wasn't really a guy in boxing who was considered a cash cow. He was considered a danger to Devin Haney. That's why we wanted to see this fight, and Devin Haney passed with flying colors. But there's a difference between being someone on paper who's dangerous or a good fighter versus somebody who's being a bankable fighter. So again, I don't know what the numbers are, but based on Regis Prograis' profile, I wouldn't be surprised. Beyond that, people say anything. A lot of people say this and that. I listen to what everybody says and then I interpret it myself. I have the ability to critical and deep think and have thought processes to determine what seems to be the most logical not radical and like, oh, I'm trying to, do this for the gram and all that type of stuff, but what seems to be the most realistic. So I'll start with Devin Haney's fight with Lomachenko, his very last fight before Regis Prograis. That was on ESPN pay-per-view, and it says the event generated about 150,000 pay-per-view buys, according to multiple sources. Now peep this. The event generated about 150,000 pay-per-view buys. Multiple industry sources told Dan Rafael, that's the boxing reporter who reported this, Fight Freaks Unite. Another source said the fight did more than 150,000. The number includes this is important. You see, I told you this, we doing an unpack, so we really gonna go in. Another source says it did more than 150,000. This is the Lomachenko fight. The numbers include sales via streaming sales, ESPN Plus, as well as traditional cable and satellite services, with around 115,000 coming from via digital and another 35 to 40,000 between cable and satellite. So let me run that back again. Devin Haney versus Lomachenko on ESPN Plus, which is the digital, and ESPN and all the ESPN cable channels and satellite, Dish and, Comcast cable, DirecTV and all that, did about 150,000 pay-per-view buys. So how come people reported that Regis Prograis and Devin Haney did 200 to 350,000 plus? Because to me, that seems like a bit of a stretch. So Top Rank and Bob Arum did the 3-fight deal. The final fight for Devin Haney on that deal with Top Rank, the final fight, the climax, was Lomachenko. So Lomachenko, we know who he is, and he's a guy who's always on the old media's pound for pound list. He's respected, and he's been in America fighting for quite some time, and he's a respected southpaw that everybody pretty much knows regarding boxing. Even casual like celebrities that talk boxing, they like, oh, I like Lomachenko, I enjoy watching him fight. So it does seem a bit of a stretch that DAZN, who doesn't have cable or satellite, did a Devin Haney and Regis Prograis fight, and they did 300,000 or 220, 250,000 or whatever. So that means they did more than the Devin Haney and Lomachenko fight for undisputed. This was for one belt. Does that make any sense to anybody? So you have Lomachenko, again, he's more branded and a more name recognized person, fighting Devin Haney in an anticipated fight for all the belts at 135 on Top Rank, on ESPN Plus and ESPN, which is the cable and the satellite side. And that fight only did 150,000. So Regis Prograis coming off a bad performance, and Regis Prograis not having as much notoriety as a guy like Lomachenko, I find it hard to believe that the fight did the numbers that people previously reported. So again, I don't know what the actual number is, but you're not going to just tell me anything and I'm not going to interpret and analyze it to see if it makes sense. Again, I was at the fight. The crowd looked good. I don't know if they comp tickets or what, but the crowd looked filled. People were dressed nice and it looked like people had a good time. I was content with that. And Devin had a sharp performance. So I was content with that. But now when we're talking about Tank and Devin and A-Side and, these numbers seem like they're being inflated and changed and people are battling over numbers, that's a whole different situation. I was perfectly content giving Devin Haney his credit and just saying, oh, Devin's the man, he beat Regis Prograis. But then if we're getting in a pissing contest over numbers, then we got to look at that. And that's what's happening now. And I'm being as objective as humanly possible. And I really don't see Regis Prograis and Devin Haney outselling ESPN. DAZN is outselling ESPN with a fight that's not undisputed like the Lomachenko fight, and a guy who's coming off a bad performance, Regis Prograis, and a guy, because they're both southpaw, but Regis only had one belt, right? So these are some of the logic that I'm looking at when I'm looking at the Leonard Ellerbe tweet. He's giving props and saying the gate did almost 2 million. That's a very strong number. So keep in that direction, keep going. But the other thing is, like I said, Bill Haney, nor Eddie Hearn or anybody else has actually come out and revealed the true numbers from the Haney versus Prograis. But again, people say they're objective, say they're fair. People went around comfortably saying Devin Haney did 200 to 350,000, and then now that number is challenged by Mayweather Promotions CEO and others, and the fans are caught confused as to what the real numbers are. So I'm giving you my perspective, and my perspective is I don't see Haney versus Prograis outselling undisputed Haney versus Loma, the fight on ESPN, because DAZN doesn't even have satellite and cable the same way set up like ESPN. And they're not known in America like ESPN is known in America. So I can definitely see ESPN with the bigger and better fight selling more. Even after the fight, Eddie Hearn did interviews and he says it's arguably smaller fight than Haney versus Lomachenko. So if it's a smaller fight, then what does that mean? You know what I mean? And again, I think Regis Prograis was a dance partner and a less name known guy. And keep in mind, Devin Haney, when he was at the weigh-in, he looked bigger than Lomachenko and he pushed him hard as heck, and Lomachenko flew back. There was nothing like that. Like, they had a good buildup, don't get that wrong, but it was like more just talking and the strength and conditioning guy talking versus Devin physically assaulted Lomachenko and pushed him and then got fined by INSAC and all that type of stuff. So I'm sure that closed in on some more buys. And again, ESPN is more known in America. Furthermore, you look at the DAZN numbers, and DAZN had the fight for free in other territories like the UK and Ireland. So I don't really trust how DAZN tabulates, oh, we had a success, a massive success, because if we're talking about pay-per-view buys, then it should be just that, buys, not people who just bought the year subscription to the app and then they tune in because they have it, you know, because it wasn't a pay-per-view in the UK. I know that for a fact. So that's completely different. And then when we're having the conversation of Gervonta Davis being the A side over Devin Haney, when he's fighting Ryan Garcia, they're not talking about Gervonta Ryan Garcia in Russia or Italy or people who watched it for free in Mexico or anything like that. They're telling you the pay-per-view buys that he did in the States, in America only. So that is the difference. And the only reason this is relevant, like I said, I was happy just talking about Devin Haney's great performance versus Regis Prograis. But if we're going to talk numbers, then I got to do just that. And I got to be honest with you. And that's never going to change on my channel. So let me know how I did in this video. I don't know what the actual numbers were, but something seems amiss with the numbers that were first reported. I definitely don't see how it would have done 350,000 and all this other stuff people were saying, because that means it did almost double what Lomachenko fight did on a brand like ESPN that was more name known to Americans. So DAZN, they got to become more transparent if they're going to release numbers. And who released the 220,000 number anyway? Where did that even come from? Because I could tell you Leonard Ellerbe is one of the people, just one of them, that came out and said that the numbers are 50,000. Also, Rick Glazer, you know, for what it's worth, he came out and said it. And it's funny when Rick Glazer is slighting PBC and saying that PBC had horrible numbers with Andrade and Benavidez, people run and believe his numbers. But then now he's saying that the Devin Haney Prograis fight kind of bombed on the pay-per-view side, right? And now people are saying, no, it did way better. So, you know, it's all politics. But one thing's for certain, Gervonta Davis is the A side. And I stand on that. You know, great fighter, you know, Devin versus Tank, who wins? I don't know. I'll leave that for you. But in terms of A side, we know there's only one A side, and it's Tank. We unpacked introducing Super Thanks right here on the official Boxing Ego YouTube. Super Thanks allows you, the viewers, to show a little bit of extra gratitude, which enables me as a full-time content creator to push out the content you need in the world of boxing. Underneath all the videos, you will see a heart with the $sign in it. You can enter any amount that you find suitable as a super thanks. A brand new interactive and colorful way to get your comments highlighted and noticed by not only myself, but other people on the YouTube platform. Super thanks, a unique and cool way to show and applaud us full-time content creators. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Super thanks. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. Are you tired of your YouTube videos not getting any views? Well, consider TubeBuddy. I've used TubeBuddy for years to scale up my YouTube channel. Now we're sitting over 200,000 subscribers. TubeBuddy is a browser extension that offers a ton of built-in productivity and time-saving services to take your channel to the next level. Use my link in the description to get started with TubeBuddy and level up your channel faster. We working.